We're live. Hey everybody, welcome to another week of This Week in Real Estate. I'm your host, the bearded man of real estate, Ray Ellen, and we're live everywhere you can go live. This podcast was broadcast live Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. Scams and the NAR. That's right. We're going there today. This is episode 290. Goodness, we've been around the block a while. Thanks everyone for your support. Because you do support the show, we are actually now members of the YouTube Partner Program, so that's fun. You can find our show broadcast live there, and if you join there and comment, I can display your comment and talk about you, or talk about your comment. You can also comment if you're watching over on the Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitch. You can comment on Twitch, but I don't think it shows up here. I'm still trying to figure that part out. But we are broadcasting live on Twitch as well. Just about everywhere except Rumble. We're going to get Rumble going soon. We're also broadcasting on Instagram. What's up, folks? I see you over there on Instagram joining. Thanks for joining the show over there. I can't display your comment on Instagram, but I can read it, and I'll try to read your Instagram handle there too. So thanks everybody for joining. We have a very special guest today, so I'm super excited. And we may have one more guest joining us a little later. So today we're going to go in the order age before beauty. So welcome to the show, Skap, the appraiser. What's up, Skap? How are you?
What's up, man? How you been?
I'm good, dude. Welcome. Thanks for coming again. This is your second time on the show, right? Or third? This is your third.
No, it's my third. Yeah, I did 2 of those end of the year wrap ups with you, so I'm still waiting.
Yeah, you did a Christmas special.
Still waiting for my interest rate numbers to actually hit before Matt Lamar's does. So
that's good. Right. Well, Andy Rose nailed it. I think last year. I think he was the closest and got it. I also want to bring to the show Michele Belisari. What's up, Michele? Yay!
Hey.
So Boca joining the show. How are you?
That's a vibe.
Hey, your background is a little bit disingenuous right now because you're showing a beautiful sunny day. But what is actually happening where you are? Aren't you like hunkering down and getting ready for a tropical storm or a hurricane or something like that?
No, not really. We are in South Florida, and we are, if you look at the map, it is coming up the Gulf. So looks like it's going to affect the Tampa, Big Bend area into the Panhandle. And so we're very fortunate right now in South Florida that it's probably not maybe a wind event more so than anything. But thanks for asking. Okay. Shout out to all my peeps in Florida.
The Floridians. I cover all the Floridians as one, because usually if Arkansas is experiencing something, you can kind of bet that everyone in Arkansas is feeling it. So we're small. We're so small. Look at this guy, Matt LaMarche. He said, based on Skap's earlier comments, I'll need my own show. I concur. So thanks for popping by, Matt. Glad he could be troubled to comment. Well, let's not delay. Let's jump right in. Well, Skap, I should mention for those that don't know you, Tim Chrisman, you're going to have to give more of a comment than I mean, I see it, but we're going to need more. Skap, tell people what you do. You've got like a license and everything real estate related.
Well, I'm very close to getting everything real estate related. I've been a certified appraiser for over 20 plus years, started in New Jersey, now in Atlanta. Been in Atlanta since 2007. President of the American Guild of Appraisers out of DC, but I'm also a licensed mortgage broker. So I do have my mortgage broker license, and I am very close. Thanks to COVID, about a month ago, I was able to complete about 75% of my real estate agent classes. So I'm going to actually agent classes probably by the end, probably within the next 2 weeks, and then go take my test and have the trifecta. I'll have all 3 licenses and hopefully be able to do something with it.
I'm telling you, man, I cannot wait until you deal with a missed appraisal.
I'm I will be honest with you. I've talked to a lot of agents, and the company you're with, Real. I can actually do a couple things because they have their own bridge, and I can do that and still do appraisals and everything. So there's a lot of opportunity out there that I'm seeking. So I think I'm just gonna keep hammering it through. And guess what? You and I might be actual
right?
workers someday. You and I.
We might get to work together a little bit. Rick Beal said, "Welcome to the dark side of real." Yeah, that's the real estate. All right, well let's jump into our first article. It's from Broke Agent Media, and this article was written, I guess, in response to a lot of the outcry that was caused by a video. So I want to get to the outcry first, but basically NAR produced a whole bunch of guides that had to do with the real estate agent compensation. And previously their comments were, we're staying out of real estate agent compensation. We're not even going to address it. And then they produced all these guides, which I'll show you what these guides are shortly, that speak directly to consumers about compensation. So Ricky Carruth takes it on and says, what's so funny is when the lawsuit happened, the report and their stance was, quote, we don't have anything to do with commissions. We don't talk about commissions. We don't tell agents what to charge. We don't say or do anything when it comes to commissions. Now, all of a sudden, they're giving sellers advice on commissions. Right now, they're advising my clients on commission. It feels like a desperate attempt to try to satisfy the plaintiffs. Which, I mean, it's a hot take. He produced a longer video for YouTube, and I think there's one on Instagram as well. And then here are a lot of the comments from people. I think we're in a situation because we have so many realtors that are untrained and don't know how to explain agency relationships. When listing a home, the commission has been negotiated and agreed upon before it's put on the MLS. One of them says my NAR dues are not negotiable. Negotiable means you can't have it. Negotiable doesn't mean you can have it free. It just means that we can't collude with other brokerages. NAR is busy doing their thing, and we must be busy doing our thing, which is talk to more people. NAR is a trade association. I haven't heard one thing regarding this from my state commission. NAR doesn't belong in the middle of my transactions. So this got pretty hot. It makes no sense that NAR would position themselves against realtor compensation at this point. It's ludicrous. I'm glad I stopped paying realtor board fees years ago. And it's something new every day. We don't even know what to do anymore. These changes come with something new on a daily basis. So there was a lot of outcry about it. There was tons of comments about it, and people were basically mad about these agreements. So what I thought we would do is take a quick look at what the agreement actually is. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each point. I'm just going to get you a brief rundown. All of these are noted as consumer guides. And it says, why am I being asked to sign a written buyer agreement? So then they have a full page answering that question. A written buyer agreement, it's an agreement between you and your real estate professional. Let's see. Proposed settlement of litigation related to broker commissions. The requirement went into effect August 17th. In some places, these agreements are new. In other places, they're not. The agreements are negotiable. It says, yes, you should feel empowered to negotiate any aspect of the agreement, including time and commission and terms. They suggest a flat rate, a percent, or an hourly rate. I wouldn't even know how to calculate it. And I don't think anyone would want to pay my hourly rate. Justin Conoco is over on Instagram. He says, Ray. Oh, snap, Michele B. Oh, he said it. He said Skap looks like Tim Macy on the small screen. No, that's Skap.
He's two McDonald's. He's two McDonald's in.
Oh, is Glenda here too? Glenda Baker's here. Let's see, because Vic DFW Bearded Realtor says, you know the live is fire if Glenda Baker's watching. Justin Conoco said he would charge. Justin Conoco said he would charge $1,500 an hour. Like, I don't know. I mean, how would I calculate that? I wouldn't even know. All right. When do you, let me see if does this mean I have to pay the real estate professional out of my pocket? Not necessarily. I mean, it's basically what they've been telling us the rule changes are. All right. So they have another one, open houses and written agreements. Do you need a written agreement with real estate before touring an open house? And they have a whole page to say, no, you don't. I mean, it goes into what does working with mean? What does tour a home mean? Well, I mean, I think what has happened is that their attorneys have said, we have got to do something. We've got to put it out there so that now when the agents don't do it right, we could say, well, we told them. But this is not telling us. This is telling the consumer, which is interesting. This one is a consumer guide, realtor's duty to put client interest above their own. It talks about steering. Let's see. Written agreements protect me against steering. Where can I learn more about buyer agreements? And it goes back to the other article that we just read. I mean, some of this is like real estate 101, consumer guide, veterans, what they need to know. What they need to know is this at the top part, due to the settlement, now veterans, you get to pay your own fee if you want to. So yes, on August 10th, 2024, the VA enacted a temporary policy allowing buyers with VA home loans to pay for their real estate professional. And then it goes into all the other stuff that it did previously. Consumer guide, offers of compensation. Are offers of compensation mandatory? No, it's up to you to determine if you're making an offer of compensation. This is from the seller perspective. What is an offer of compensation? Why would you make one? This is a very careful wording because I've always not liked that real estate agents would say, well, you have to offer something or your home's not going to be shown. But then on the flip side of that, they can say, well, I represent you as a buyer, and as a buyer, I'm going to show you any properties, whether they offer compensation or not. And that doesn't make sense. You can't have it both ways. It's got to be one or the other. So what is an offer of compensation and why make one? It says that offer of compensation is when you, the seller, or your agent, so it can be the brokerage, compensating another agent for bringing a buyer successfully to close the transaction. Offers of compensation can help reduce out-of-pocket cost, which may bring more potential buyers for the transaction. You see how they worded that? They reduce the out-of-pocket cost for the buyer, which now more buyers might be interested in it. These costs are especially significant for first-time buyers and lower to middle income buyers. It talks about, do you have to operate? This is interesting. Do I have to advertise the offer of compensation if I decided to make one? No, it's up to you to decide. Advertising can help get the word out to bring more buyers to the table, but you can also choose not to advertise and instead negotiate. So this is an interesting, in our state has taken the position that if there is an offer of compensation and an agent asks you about it, you must tell them. And this looks like it's saying the exact opposite. It talks about the difference in that concessions and this,
you must tell them.
That's what what it is in the state of Arkansas. If you offer, so if somebody says I want to pay the buyer agent 4%, and the seller says that, you must, and an agent calls and says, are you offering buyer agent compensation? In Arkansas, I must say, yeah, we're offering 4%.
So what I've edited our contract to, our new contracts in Massachusetts say, it's X% for listing your house, it's X% to buyer agents, and it's X% for facilitators. And the middle X%, I have added that the seller will pay up to that percentage.
Yeah,
because I'm not handcuffing my client to a fee that we don't even know what's going to be requested of. Mm-hmm. And what I'm telling, if I get a call from a buyer agent, are you offering compensation and what is it? My response is the seller will consider all offers, including those with compensation.
Yeah,
because it all boils down to the net, right?
Well, because we have this rule in our state, it would be dumb for any seller in our state to offer compensation because it has to be disclosed and there is no negotiating once you say what you're willing to offer. So in our state, what we are advising our sellers is to not offer any, and then we just tell all the agents, put it in the offer. And it makes it super easy.
Or unless you have that up to asterisk. And then...
Well, we can't. We don't have that blank, and there's no way to add that in ours technically without right now getting scrutinized heavily. So we're being very careful, of course. All right, there's one more consumer guide that I want to get into a broader discussion about it. The last one is on negotiating written buyer agreements. Will I be able to negotiate? Written buyer agreements are required for many real estate professionals before you tour a home, either in person or virtual tour. These agreements help to ensure both your agent know the roles. Know your role. If you are simply visiting an open house on your own, you don't have to. What can I negotiate? You and your agent work together to reach an acceptable agreement. It allows you to get the value and services you need in the home buying process while enabling your agent fair compensation for their work. This really kind of says the same stuff. Agent compensation can take many forms, such as flat fee, percentage, purchase price, hourly fee. Every time I see hourly fee for a real estate agent, I'm like, no one in their right mind would actually want to pay me the number of hours that I work. Maybe I just need to back off and work less. And then it talks about what type of services. They have 179 ways agents who are realtors are worth every penny. They have an article there. I'm sure every consumer is going to anxiously click on that one. I don't know. I think it's, so that's it. Those are the guides that everyone, oh wait, I'm not sharing this last one. My bad. Those are the guides that everyone was upset about. And I don't really see anything significant in here, except I think the mistake that NAR made was targeting consumers with them and not targeting agents. If they would have targeted agents and said, well, here's our recommended guides and here's what you should do. And, here's some suggestions that you could give consumers and how to talk about it. I don't think they would have an issue. I think everyone would say, well, yeah, that's what the trade organization is supposed to do. If they want to go direct to consumer, they've never been successful with that in the past. As a matter of fact, all their ads have kind of failed. No one knows what a realtor is versus a real estate agent anyway. So I think a lot of the uproar was a bit misplaced because the content in these guides is so unserious.
Ray, I really just I got to chime in after seeing that thing. This is from an appraiser standpoint, so don't hate me, everybody.
/lender /future
realtor.
No,
I think what they've done is okay, but I don't think they've really, they need to expand it more. And I think they're going to find this to be a problem later on, is because you've now allowed them to take this compensation and put it into into a concession or, that type of aspect, and putting it on MLS as that. Now, as appraisers, we look at this data and we look at this, and don't mind the poodle back there. She's just crazy. But we look at concessions differently. A concession is a concession towards closing costs, towards this, repairs, whatever. Now, if you're starting to include this compensation into a concession within your offer, and now that goes into MLS and it says, $15,800 or $25,000 in concessions, when that's really not true. That's going to screw up and actually take appraisers to a whole new level of, hey, we got to go figure this out. We got to call that agent. Now, is that agent going to answer the phone? Are they going to tell us what this was for? They created a whole new mess in this thing. What I don't understand is why couldn't they, and I get the whole premise of not, keeping concessions, keeping compensation, kind of in that mute state beforehand, but why afterwards can they not go into MLS and say, okay, well, this compensation was paid for the buyer to this buyer's agent, and this was the seller's, and then here was the closing costs, or here's the concessions. It makes it more clear for everybody else out there. We talk about transparency. This isn't transparency. Nobody's going to know what was paid to the seller's agent, or what was paid to the buyer's agent, what was paid for concessions for this and that. So, I think they're on the right track, I think, in a kind of a way, But I also think they're just making this just a mess, like everything else out there that any kind of real estate, profession does. They're not thinking through correctly to actually make sure that we all have transparency.
And Glenda Baker says that in Georgia, you can't use the up to X like you were talking about, Jack. It has to be a defined amount. And then she said, please pay me the purchase price. Yeah, I agree with you, Skap. I think it's going to be a weird, supposedly you can't have an amorphous concession block and part of those concessions go towards real estate agent compensation. So supposedly you can't put in the MLS offering 3% concessions. And then the real estate agent's like, okay, 3% buyer agent compensation requested. Supposedly that can't happen. I think the way it's supposed to work is that the buyer agent has an agreement with the buyer that this is the fee that the buyer owes them, and the buyer is obligated to pay that fee. However, the buyer gives permission for the agent to accept partial or complete payment of that fee from the seller or the listing firm. If they receive partial payment of that fee, then the agent charges back the buyer the rest of that fee. So if a buyer agent says I'm charging 4% and this listing's only paying 1%, then the buyer brings the 3% to the closing table. That is, for us, no different than the exact thing that we used to do all the time. I've been doing that since 2007. The difference for us is that now we're putting it in the offer. And my question for you as an appraiser is, when you see buyer agent compensation for the first time in the offer, when it was traditionally just offered on the MLS, how can an appraiser not see that other figure added to the contract and say, well, no, I'm just not going to count it towards the value or the purchase price or anything like that?
But that's the thing. I mean, I haven't seen one yet. And that's what I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see how this contract thing is going to work out. I'm waiting to see how maybe somebody on another deal puts it into the MLS, where right now, prior to this in MLS, you'd see that concessions spot and it would say $5,000. Well, I mean, as an appraiser, you kind of know that's probably for closing costs or for some issues. Maybe it's $10,000. Okay, great. But now if you're starting to see larger amounts put in there, because now with this new whole way they're doing things, saying, well, we'll just put it in there as a concession. Well, now if I'm seeing something that says $35,000, what? Like, how do I?
It's supposed to be defined.
But now I have to go, yeah, but it's supposed to be defined, but it's not, because my MLS does not have that defined. They just have one spot that says concessions. So I don't have agent compensation and I don't have concessions. So now how am I supposed to decipher what is going towards closing costs, what's going towards this, and what was paid to the agent for their compensation? So now, guess what, everybody out there, all you agents that hate appraisers that take so long to do their job, you're going to have to wait a lot longer for me to contact that agent on a comparable I'm using to find out what the hell was paid and what it was for in order for me to do my job correctly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, we need to get Larry David.
So one of the things that I recently ran into, Skap, is I just had somebody miss an appraisal on one of my properties. They gave me no value for the pool, first off, compared to other properties.
For you.
Zero value for any pool. Yeah. And they used a comp that was sold before listed. I called the agent to get details, and they're like, well, your house is way nicer than this one was. There's no photos or anything on the MLS of this house that was sold before listed. It was just one exterior photo from 2018 that the appraiser, it was, you know those timestamps that are on photos?
Yeah.
So the appraiser used the MLS photo, except he used all the same MLS photos, except for that one. He cropped out the timestamp that showed that photo was from 2018. So now I get to have the conversation with the appraiser. Hey, why did you alter that photo? That's really weird that you would return that to a bank, an altered MLS photo. Shouldn't you just put the one that the agent used, which was from 2018, so that they know it's an old photo? And by the way, the agent tells me you didn't call and talk to them about any of this, and that our house is way nicer, and yet you made no improvements by comparison. We at least had a C3 and that one's a C4. So, it's really fun, going to be a fun conversation. But in that, the agent also said, oh, and by the way, the buyer of this home paid all of the commission they had the listing and they had the buyer. They paid all the commission for me representing them and for me dealing with the seller. And so I don't know how to throw that out there and say like, wow, that just kind of makes my mind go when I think about it as a comparable. Like, how does that impact it? Michele, I want to hear about Florida because I know Florida for years was a buyer beware state. But before I do, let me get to some of these comments on Instagram. Move Me to Bay Area is talking in code. They say in California, we just heard that in the new forms release in December, there's supposed to be a new section on the RPA for SPBB. Okay, so it's probably a real estate purchase agreement for seller paid buyer brokers. That's my guess. And Tara Haberfield said in California, we can't offer any commission. Our MLS has multiple concession fields, including compensation, repairs, closing costs, etc. Yeah, I think that's everyone's MLS has now nixed the broker agent, buyer agent compensation section. However, there are other ways to offer it. You can offer it on your website. You can offer it in conversation. So Michele, what is going on in Florida? Give me a brief rundown of what's happening there with this stuff.
Florida? Oh, yeah. Florida is so interesting all the time because it's really so unique depending on where you are. It has been a slower market. So that's in line with most of the other, conversations that I've had. Days on the market are longer. We've had, in most cases, you're seeing multiple price adjustments or reductions, however you want to call it, on properties. Every day I'm getting emails and pings on things. And I certainly have done that with some of the properties I have listed. We, unlike some other states, are coming into our season. So that's a good thing because with the interest rate or the Fed making the announcement last week and the trickle down that will happen for that, we'll still be in the middle of our season. So people that are looking for properties should be able to, get a better situation than they've been in, which is good. One of the issues we're dealing with in my part of the world down in South Florida is the condo market. And the scenarios with the older condos are screwed right now, literally. And if you're living in one, you're in big trouble because the assessments in many cases are so high that the people living in those units cannot afford to live there. And they're showing some of the
when you say the assessment,
properties.
You're talking about the repair assessments and the increase in the condo association dues and all that stuff, right?
Everything, yeah. And it's a problem, and it's going to take a while for it to wash out. I saw an article, I think it was from Condo Vultures. I follow them pretty closely. And about 18,000 condo units on the market in the South Florida area, which is like Tri-County. So Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade. You have luxury condos. That's a different animal. That's brand new, blah, blah. But you drive up and down A1A along the ocean, and all you see is cranes. You see scaffolding. You see them replacing balconies, doing all this crunk, but it's expensive. Like I have a friend of mine who in her condo was $80,000 per unit. They had to get a loan to help people out who don't have that cash. Not everybody has that. So it's an interesting market right now.
Malamar says Condo Vultures is a great brand name. Justin said, if I scrap my license. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I followed them for years because they really have a finger on the pulse in regard to condos, and we're so condo heavy here, And the thing of it is, it used to be, first-time home buyers may not be able to buy a single-family home, but let's get them in a condo. The problem now is do you try and put someone in a condo who's a first-time home buyer and these potential assessments that are happening? That's a tough one. So we have to wait out. There's some things that came up from the governor in regard to reserves. That's the other thing. And then the deferred maintenance, which is basically, this is a direct result of Surfside that collapsed.
Yeah. The condo in Miami, we covered it on the show. Justin Conoco said, if I scrap my license and just open a services company, I don't think I have to listen to anybody's rules. Prime Home Services coming soon. That sounds like, isn't there a home services company actually, Justin? I think you may be onto something there. All right, let's go to the next article. My summary, to summarize this article from Broke Agent Media and the video from Ricky Carruth, I think the actual ire against these guides is fairly misplaced. I think the guides are lightweight and not a big deal. They don't say what an agent should charge. They are saying things to get legal beagles off of them. This is a liability switch, and I think that's it. I don't think there's anything more to these guides, and I think probably 6 consumers have read these. They are boring. There's no photos. The information is scant. It's vague and general, and I think maybe agents should use the guides to maybe get out there in front of it and say, hey, consumers, have you seen these new guides from NAR? This is what they say. And I don't know why I'm still on focus, so nobody should be able to call me, but yet every week. But for an agent to say, here's what these guides say. and Jesse Peters just called me from Instagram at the same time. Anyway, for somebody to come out and say, this is what these guides say, here's my advice, here's what I would recommend, here's how we operate based on these new rules, and that they're not a big deal and people shouldn't worry. I think that's the play that agents could make. Then when someone asks, like, hey, what are these new rules I'm hearing about with NAR? They could say, oh, well, let me shoot you the video. And you have it right there. Speaking of clear cooperation, it is definitely in the crosshairs right now as more and more people, more and more brokerages, I should say, look to get rid of it. And one of those brokerages that has been an outstanding proponent's not the word, enemy, what anti-hero? I don't know what the word I'm looking for. They're not for it. Compass, Robert Reffkin. He's challenging National Association of Realtors clear cooperation policy, and he writes, realtors are upholding their highest moral and ethical and legal duties to serve clients. And he says that under the clear cooperation policy, anytime the homeowner wants to market their home off MLS for more than one day publicly, realtors are forced to compromise both the ethical foundations upon which their profession is built and their obligation under state laws governing privacy and fiduciary duty. And so this is really, the ethical foundations, come on. But I think the bigger rub is that our state law says that we basically have to do what our clients want us to do. And when your client says, I don't want to be in the MLS, I want to be marketed off the MLS, I want to be only on your systems. And if that's my client's choice, I should be able to do that. And that's Reffkin's argument. That's actually the argument, but of the national MLS, the NLS, which I think is still not back up. Let me see. Yeah, the NLS is still coming soon, as it says. So that one's still not back up. It was up, and I did have a property on it, but it's still not up. So the clear cooperation policy is doing some damage to models that want to market properties more exclusively and off market. And he says by complying blindly with the clear cooperation policy, realtors risk perpetuating policies that may do more harm than good. And therefore, it is ethical imperative to challenge such policies in pursuit of a practice that aligns with our professional duty to serve our clients. Now, an easy fix for this seems like, well, you could just not be a realtor. And if you could just not be a realtor, then you don't have to abide by the realtor rules, and it allows you to market the properties how you see fit and in line with state law. The bigger problem with that. I mean, that seems like the simple fix, except in a lot of ways, it inhibits you from doing business because now you don't have access to the MLS for all of your other clients that do want to be on the MLS. And in a lot of states, you don't have access to forms, so you have to get an attorney to write up all of your forms and documents and contracts unless you are an attorney. So what do you think of this clear cooperation? Do you think it's going to be dropped? Do you think NAR is going to try to hold to it? This new NAR that we have, are they going to see a different perspective on this and get rid of it? What do you think? I'm asking.
I'm just an appraiser. I have no idea. So
let me ask you this then, Skap. If you see a sold property and it was sold before
it's hard
listed,
to say because
Michele, you're breaking up.
They're all over.
You're like a robot. Is it just for me, Skap, or am I the robot, or is Michele the robot?
No, it's just her.
Same.
Okay. All right, Michele, you're a robot. You might want to reconnect your Wi-Fi or something.
I mean, so if I see a sold property, good. What were you saying, Ray? If I see a sold property that was sold off of MLS or anything?
If you see a property that's sold off of MLS, what do you think of the value? Is it, it sold off MLS, so it didn't get full exposure, so maybe it's not.
No, I mean, I consider everything. I mean, I mean, obviously MLS is what we really consider because that's been exposed to the public. It's been exposed to the open market. So that's what you're looking at. Excuse the dogs. But that's what I'm looking at first. And then what I'm looking at after that is, I still search the neighborhood to see if there's off-market sales or sales that didn't happen on the MLS to kind of see where they fall in place and see if they are actually good sales or not. So, I mean, that wouldn't really affect me so much. But MLS number one, and then look at off-market sales number two to kind of see how they, fit into that equation.
Would you use a property that sold before listed as a comparable for a property that's been on the market?
I mean, if it's sold, it's a sold sale. I mean, end of story. It's sold. I mean, it doesn't matter when it was listed. I mean, if they were saying coming soon and then all of a sudden 2 days later it's marked as sold, it's a sold sale. I mean, that's what we look at. We look at sold sales. So, I mean, that wouldn't really affect me too much. I mean, I'd dig into it and kind of see and call the agent or call whoever I could possibly if I had that information to kind of say, why did this sale, why was this sold before it went on market or what happened here? So I understand a little bit better. But if it falls into my parameters and it wasn't some kind of off-brand sale or some kind of abnormality, then I would use that as a comparable.
I've noticed a couple of things with the off-market property solds. There's a couple of companies that try this here locally, and one of them does it well. They could sell a property off-market, and it sells about what the market value should be, if not a little higher. It's good on them. They saved some time. They got it done. However, there's another company that is not doing so well, and all of their off-market sales, in which they represented the seller and sold the property within their own brokerage, the properties are selling below market. And so here they are trying to double in the deal and keep it into their company only, which is allowed under the clear cooperation policy, which I think is the stupidest thing in the world. They're trying to double in the deal, keep it in their brokerage, and they're selling this property to a buyer, and it's selling below market. So the seller is getting screwed. And I don't mind the seller getting screwed if they signed up for it and they know what they signed up for. My biggest concern is the lack of transparency, that we don't know if the seller signed up for it like that. So in response to Reffkin, we shouldn't be doing clear cooperation because it inhibits our ability to do our job and follow the law, and it could be worse for consumers. I agree, in some cases it can be, but I think there needs to be an additional piece of paperwork filed at the time the property's listing, saying that this property does not want to be on the MLS, and they understand that they don't want to be on the MLS, and it might help them sell higher. It might make them sell far lower, but at least they understand the decision they're making.
Well, I think really quick, just to kind of interject, and I'm sure you know of this person, and I don't want to put names out there, but I will. But I mean, Mark Spain. I mean, there's companies out there that they offer you cash for your home, and then they buy it and then they resell it. So there's lots of these things going on. They've been going on for years, and then you have the open doors. You have all these other companies. You have lots of these that have been going on for years and years and years, where they buy your home cheap, offer you something for it, you sell it cheap, instead of exposing it to the market to get what that market value could be. They convince you to actually sell it to them so that they can then go resell it for that market value. So, I mean, it's nothing new. I mean, in my opinion, from what I've seen out there.
Yeah, Mark.
But they're buyers.
Say again.
They're a buyer to a seller, and not
right.
At all brokered, which is sort of buyer beware or seller beware or consumer beware. But MLS PIN has a rule that, which is up here in New England, it's pretty big. We have a rule that that you need to put a new listing into the multiple listing service within 24 hours of signing it up, or you need to sign a non-MLS form, which does exactly what you were just talking about, Ray. MLS PIN is also continues to have an optional field for buyer broker compensation, and one of the few companies around here that is still using that field happens to be Coldwell Banker.
Wow,
who is part of the settlement. And this whole thing, I mean, what Skap said, what this whole clear cooperation thing is the tail wagging the dog. What happened to the fact that, what other product out there is susceptible to all of these regulations as to how you can sell your product?
From their trade organization, no doubt.
It just blows me away, and it kills me. I lament how poorly NAR handled this whole lawsuit, and I mean, can we get a second bite of the apple, or do we all have to leave NAR and fight the lawsuits as they come?
I think the apple bite is going to come from brokers who are now going to be suing NAR. I think that's on the horizon for sure. It's already happened for some. I think it's going to happen for a lot more.
But that doesn't get rid of the settlement.
No, it doesn't. But it could get rid of NAR. It could bankrupt them.
Well, we could all leave NAR and just be done with it.
Yeah, and then we could just vote. I mean, the only issue is for us in my state are documents. That's it. Documents in the MLS. I am forced to be in NAR in order to participate in the MLS. David Rios B, he also says our MLS has that already. So he's talking about the additional form to keep properties off.
The topic's kind of gone forward a little bit, but appraisers should be able to adjust for crappy photos.
I totally agree. It definitely makes a difference. I've had properties that have listed with crappy photos. I relisted at the same price or higher, and it sells like a hotcake with new photos. It's crazy. That's funny.
Or bad agents, I guess.
Bad agents.
I mean,
hey, speaking.
Settle this once and for all. Stop hiring all these photographers and just hire us appraisers to come out there and take your photos, and then we're good to go. I mean, I'll take that money.
Hey, speaking of bad agents, we have another guest that I want to add to our show. Please welcome Matt LaMarche.
Oh, no.
What's up, Matt?
Oh no.
That's perfect timing, Matt.
I gotta go. It's good seeing y'all. Gotta
go. Unbelievable. The libel, the defamation, the poor speaking about your colleagues in this cooperative environment. How dare you?
I told you it wasn't defamation if it's true. So.
Hey, by the way, thanks for that referral.
Can I
say that again, Michele? Sorry, what?
One thing coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon. We have coming soon in our MLS, which has been, I love it.
I would love it to be in the MLS, but we don't have it in our MLS, so we can't use it at all. We have to do coming soon 24 hours before it's actually live.
We can do ours up to 21 days.
Oh, wow.
So
that's a long time.
Agents, if you're not taking advantage of that, take a look into that.
We only used to do 2 weeks max. We didn't do that long. So,
by the way, appraisers do not take into account coming soon. Okay, we just don't. Just let you know.
No,
what do you mean?
no,
The
no.
valuation is going to be different because it's active versus eventually being active?
Yeah, exactly.
No, for the
Exactly.
love.
That's
For
what
the
she
love.
said.
Nothing changes in 2 weeks in real estate, Skap. Come on.
Can I just point out how color coordinated we all are today?
yeah, y'all are looking great.
We didn't even plan
y'all have
that.
the red shades. All right. Speaking of red shades, motion denied. Oh wait, hang on. I have
I was going
have
to
a
say,
sounder.
surely there's a sound for that.
Motion denied.
All right.
So, yeah. So our next article is the motion denied moves the company moves data theft lawsuit against CoStar hits a roadblock. So this is a big win for CoStar. Latest news against the lawsuit Move Inc. filed against CoStar Group for alleged data theft is a win for the defendant. On Monday, they denied the Move's motion for a preliminary injunction against CoStar, pointing to the absence of a key element required for injunctive relief, which is the court. Let's see. Since the plaintiff had not provided a clear and incontestable evidence, likely imminent irreparable harm, the court did not have to analyze the remaining 3 prerequisite conditions. So basically, you didn't get hurt. Hang on. You guys are going to have to, I have a delivery at my house that I have to go open the door for. Hang on just a half second. And y'all vamp everyone.
We got
Vamp.
dogs, we got
make a sandwich
deliveries,
while
we
you're
got
at it.
Matt Lamar.
Yeah, I'm going to go do some work. You guys.
Well, Michele, I love your mention of
All
the
right.
coming
Well,
soon.
now he's gone. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, now we can talk about it. The coming soon status is the same way here in Georgia. And I tell all of my clients, we should take advantage of it because it's there for a reason, in my opinion. You've got to finish up some work or you're not quite ready for it to hit the market. You're not ready for people to be in the house yet.
Yeah.
Let's get those additional eyeballs. Let's get it in. And they're all like, well, what about the days on market? It won't count. It starts over. It resets, at least here in Georgia. And so I'm utilizing it on almost every single listing. And again, a lot of this is dependent on them and what they can do. But it's a huge missed opportunity if you don't have it, number one, or you aren't using it. So I'm really glad that you mentioned it. But to me, it's no different.
It gives the seller time to clean up, clean out, especially those sellers who are dealing with probate, trust estates, which I deal with frequently, or seniors that are downsizing, where you really do need to come in and see the lay of the land, what needs to be cleaned up, how to help them get it ready enough for photos, right? And then deferred maintenance. We see so much deferred maintenance in that in those niches, right? Because the sellers typically are older sellers and maybe they haven't been well, or somebody passed away. So then you're dealing with all that. So coming soon gives the sellers that opportunity. And frankly, it's a great tease. I say this is a great way to tease the market. And because if you start getting phone calls on a coming soon, that's gold, in my opinion.
Well, not only that,
you can't show it.
You can't
show it.
Not only that, though, you can also, like, I have now it's live today, but it was coming soon for 2 weeks, a rental property that we owned. And there were 2 other rentals, or 2 other listings, I should say, that were rentals in the neighborhood. Well, neither one of those have closed. But if one of them had closed a week ago, that would be really valuable. And I might go up $10,000 or $15,000 or $25,000, right? And so, it's my own personal property, but the same conversations are the ones that I'm having with me and my wife, with my clients, right? Like, a lot can happen in 2 weeks. And I know I was poking at Skap there a little bit, but it's true. A lot can happen. And especially 3 years ago, good grief. Talk about 21, right? People were offering $20,000, $25,000 over, and then it jumped to $50,000 or $55,000 over in what felt like weeks, may have been months, but that's a huge difference. And so you've got to have better context, and coming soon gives you that context because things do move. Go ahead, Scott. Speak now.
I've got nothing.
Kind of like Ray.
Hey, Donna said Texas can do coming soon up to 30 days, yet it's not syndicated and it won't show up on Zillow. It's coming soon. All right, so back to this move thing. It's kind of a bit of a moot point. Basically, the judge said that they weren't injured. The court also limited the expedited discovery they were saying that basically Move didn't prove that when the agent went over there and that there was, or when the employee moved from Move to Homes.com, there was no misconduct. So CoStar is saying, well, we just hired your employee, and Move saying, yeah, you took all of our secrets with him. So as for Move's efforts to show a threat of imminent harm, this is the funniest part in my opinion. Kamansky alleged data theft. Judge Wu deemed them unsupported due to insufficient evidence of the former employee's wrongdoing. The judge faulted Move for failing to engage in discovery with Kamansky, particularly around claims of a mystery computer potentially holding the sensitive information that Kamansky allegedly stole. All right, so this was a hit against Move in favor of CoStar. And there's another class action lawsuit right now. It's kind of interesting. That is from Move. Class action lawsuit shines a harsh light on the network's paid leads. So a class action lawsuit alleging unvetted and fraudulent leads across Move network sites, including Realtor.com, has put the spotlight on the quality of leads offered by the News Corp-owned listing company. Non-working phone numbers, undeliverable emails, window shoppers, and likely scammers have all become too common with Realtor.com. Do you guys do Realtor.com leads?
No, but we've been talking about it a lot recently because they have changed their model, much like Zillow has. And now they want one person responsible for the payment, and then how you distribute, instead of me, you, and Michelle's, getting $2,000 each in leads every month. They want someone paying $20,000, and then how you disperse those is totally up to you. So we've looked at it, but we have not made a decision on it yet.
The suit is alleging that they just got a bunch of fake leads. No. I have a lot of leads from this company that did not pan out as well. I also have a lot of leads from Homes.com that are not panning out. The best leads we are getting right now are coming from our own advertising and marketing. So the article is on Inman. You guys can check it out. It kind of goes into detail, a little bit more detail around the scheme and the fake leads and all that kind of stuff. Realtors are asking for damages equal to what they spent on Realtor.com leads, which only seems fair. If you're spending all this money on leads and the leads are coming back bad or, incorrect information, scam leads, then it makes sense to me that you should get that money back. I mean, I am mad about it. I want to join the class action. I have them in my database. I could go through and say, yeah, all these people did not buy. Okay, let me check the condition of this delivery. I'll be right back.
Make lunch while you're at it.
I'm just saying. I mean, I got a big TV. I'll explain when I come back. It's a story.
It's another TV to look at.
Yeah.
Oh, good, right? We got Matt here. Don't worry. Matt'll take over.
That's right.
What are we talking about next?
Well, I do want to go back. He said that Condo Vultures would be a great brand name. I meant band name for like a emo band. I thought that would be a good fit. But the problem with the clear cooperation piece is that it infringes on free speech. And Ray and I have talked a little bit about this with what can you put in the listing, what can you not put in the listing. All of this comes back to our clients. If our clients say, do not say that, so long as we're not breaking disclosure laws, that's one thing. But hey, I don't want to put this home on the MLS. Well, what are you going to do? Are you not going to put it on? Are you going to advise them on the effect or impact that they may have on the results and the outcome of their sale? Or are you just going to say, yep, okay, no problem, not going on the MLS? And to me, the clear cooperation piece also kind of infringes on that piece. So anyway, that's my only comment on the clear cooperation piece, but I don't know. I may be the only one.
No, now it's just us.
No, it's just us. Yeah. Who knows? What is going on, Skap? I mean,
this is crazy today.
Is this
all right, I have one dog.
My wife's just running around, just like grabbing things, throwing things in a room, grabbing them back again. I have no clue what the hell is going on. I want to be home, quiet today. I guess not. That's not happening.
What? Who's on the shirt? I'm sorry if I missed that earlier.
Dude, come on, man.
Michael
McDonald's.
McDonald.
Oh, Michael McDonald. I didn't see the bottom.
That's McDonald's, man.
So Ray's going to give us a
How do
strong
you need to see the bottom
rendition
and not recognize him?
I just see the bowl cut.
Yeah, how could you not recognize him? Jack, what were you asking? Jack in Clubhouse, what were you asking?
Oh, God.
No, it just comes down to, boundaries of forget settlement stuff or anything else. It just comes down, or policies. It comes down to what you can and can't say, by law, period. And that's what sellers should have control over. As long as it's legal for us to say, and it doesn't discriminate and it doesn't break any laws, the consumer should have the right to say how they want to sell their product. I mean, it's getting lost in all of this. The lawsuit of this week in real estate lawsuits is a new podcast because it's crazy. Yeah, thank you.
That's not a bad. We had during the height of the lawsuits, we had several lawsuit sounders, but yeah.
I never had my own producer. Thank you, Ray.
Yeah, you're welcome, Jack.
I agree with you, Jack, on that. But, with the way that things are nowadays, I mean, 90% of you, or I would say almost all of you, have no clue what the hell is going on in the appraisal profession, where we now have a gigantic list of things we can no longer say in our appraisal reports because people get offended, or it deals with this, or I can no longer say an area is desirable or undesirable, or it's got
That's
this,
crazy.
or there's trash, or there's so many things that get flagged now in my reports for a lender because of people getting so offended, or it violates some sort of, I don't know, rule that somebody just made that says, hey, you can no longer say a house is in average condition, because they think it's in good condition. So that's just the way the world is now. I mean, the appraisal profession is like way further on in this progress than you all are. I mean, we've been sued for things. We've got these racial bias suits. We've got these suits. We've got so much going on in our profession that you guys dealing with this commission issue. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of laugh at it sometimes, where I just go, wow, you guys are dealing with this and you guys think this is difficult? Try being an appraiser and dealing with every single piece of law and legislation and overhaul we've had to deal with over the last 15 years. It's insane, absolutely insane. And I think going forward, y'all just have a lot more that's going to come about because of all of this, and it's going to create more headaches. So I think at this point, y'all should just come together and make things a little bit as easy as possible, because if you don't, you're just going to be creating more and more and more problems. And I see NAR doing that. I see them creating more problems. I see other entities out there creating more problems, and everybody wants a piece of the pie. Man, it's interesting to me, because I just feel like I sit back and just go, you guys are dealing with this. I've been dealing with this for 20 years now. So, it's just odd to me, but it's also I think there's a lot of things you all can do to make things better before they get worse.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's definitely been in our world, in the industry, for a long time, but realtors have been kind of shielded from it for a while. All right, so the last thing I have to say about this clear cooperation and being able to take your property on and off the market, et cetera, there is the belief out there, well, if we allow this to happen, then there's going to be some agents that try to market these properties off market and double in deals and that kind of thing. And honestly, in my opinion, that should be their freedom to do so. I want to make sure the consumer knows what they're selecting, but otherwise, if a salesperson is good enough to sell their client on that strategy, then that's the client's fault for selecting that strategy if the strategy doesn't work. It's just like anything else. If a real estate agent says open houses don't work, and we say actually that we sell about 8% of the listings from open houses, and this is why we use them, this is the strategy we use them, and many times homes that we have listed open house will go under contract that week if I can prove that open houses are working. Meanwhile, this other agent's saying, well, we've never sold a house on open house, and so that's why we don't do them, and we take off on Sundays, whatever. It's the consumer's choice. So let them choose what they want to do. And I don't have any problem as long as the consumer knows what they're choosing and it's not, it's legal. Don't worry, guys. There is a savior. Ryan Serhant has a new app. It's called S.MPLE, but it's not spelled simple. It's spelled S.MPLE, S.MPLE. S.MPLE. I assume it's called S.MPLE. It's cool. I mean, that's a cool logo. Honestly, I like it. I like the way it's listed. It's a workflow platform for agents. So it's basically what Real Broker is building in the back end of our systems. He's building it as a third-party system, it looks like. The platform which Serhant tested at MN Connect New York in January is a large action model, a LAM, or an AI model that can understand and execute human requests in real time, something that the firm believes is the first of its kind for the real estate industry. I don't know, first of its kind. There's some others, but it's cool. This is something no one has done before. It's super, super complicated to create. And I'm really, really proud of our team for building it and getting it to the public stage the way we are. This is what it looks like. Looks pretty good. It's got marketing, data analytics, social media, referrals, strategy, transaction buttons at the top. It's got, you can move buttons around. I guess, I don't know. Submit request. It's okay. I don't really understand the problem you're trying to solve with it other than maybe agent workflow, filing, keeping your information and data right on a mobile platform. I think that's pretty good. But I wish, I know this is not Serhant's article, but I wish the article said, here's the big problem and here's the app that solves it. But I'm looking at this app and I'm seeing the screenshots. And I don't know what problem it's selling. You can use your voice to detail your request, review a transcription, and submit with ease. Okay.
Did any of you see the last episode or last season of Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No.
Where Larry was trying to tell Siri he needed directions and where to go.
Oh, this is so good. No, but I love that kind of stuff.
So look it up. But anyway, it was great. I could imagine that being the case, trying to get a CMA for some address or something like that.
I've had a video idea for a while. You know how people have this smart speakers all over their house?
Mm-hmm.
I've had this video idea where a guy is, trying to be romantic and he puts on this song, goes, baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low. And as soon as that song comes on, you see like the bedroom door shutting and locking. It's like really creepy and the lights are going out. And he's like, no, Siri, no. And then it ends. It's over.
Ray, does it say there's a CRM aspect to this, I assume? I didn't see that on there anywhere, but I assume if you got referrals, you've got CRM somewhat. Gotta be, right?
It doesn't say.
Because I'm on their website.
Find a ton of information about it.
Because I'm on their website and it says for busy agents who want to prioritize their life. And it talks about, to your point, like the AI component, which is really important. But just like he said, the Siri function on your phone is not that great yet. Now, I will say if you've updated your phone and if you have AirPod Pros, you can now shake your head and decline things and calls and texts and whatever else, or you can respond to them or whatever, which is great. I think it's a huge step forward in AI, but I still don't feel like we're there because whenever I add something via Siri, she still doesn't get it right every single time. So
yeah,
speech to text or speech to task or email or whatever sounds great, but the technology isn't that great yet. So there's got to be something else here. I mean, he talks about saving time, but I'm not sure how we become more productive by using another app. Exactly.
So here's, they have workflows. It doesn't look like there's a CRM involved, and it doesn't look like it's outside of the Serhant group yet. Okay. But they have had 100 different teams, I guess. I didn't realize that they were that big with 100 teams. But he said that he got it to generate a CMA, which I wouldn't trust that more than I would trust his estimate.
Right.
Exclusive sales agreement. Okay, that's helpful. A listing presentation. Well, okay. I guess it just fills in the listings information. Social media assets, which as a marketer, I wouldn't trust that completely either. And a reminder on his calendar to follow up with the seller. That's great use.
100%.
I don't know. And the thing started delivering detailed assets to Serhant's inbox. I'd have to see the quality of these assets. I mean, it's got to be up there for me to even consider using something so flippantly.
Well, and to your point, there are other platforms. WeChat is one of them, where you can plug your IDX into it. So every time you get a new listing, they build out a suite of marketing stuff, right?
It's the same thing that Compass uses. It's the same thing that Real Broker uses. I mean, we have that same system that Compass uses in our back end.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go rapid fire.
I'd be interested in seeing how this CMA AI thing works from an appraiser standpoint. That's I just don't see how that on the road can actually work for your comparables. But that's just me. I'm just the appraiser. Don't mind me.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I've seen it work better than some appraisers, but I still wouldn't trust either of them. I wouldn't trust either of them.
You haven't worked with me yet, Ray. You haven't worked with me.
That's true.
I love the it's like womp womp. The appraiser comes in at the end.
I know, right?
Womp womp womp.
We do not care.
Okay. All right, so let's go rapid fire. This one is just a reminder. We played this in our mastermind yesterday, but basically AI is making some pretty huge leaps in its ability to deceive real estate agents. So I don't think I have the sound on. Do y'all hear the sound? Oh, here, boom. All right, so this one is a news article. Hector actually posted this, and I took it from him. But this is crazy. So this guy's going to buy a piece of land. His dad had it listed. Yeah, it's in Miami. That's the father there. He is a real estate agent. He was going to sell it a $60,000 little lot. His son made an offer for $52,000. The seller accepted it. The seller submitted her ID. She was out of the country, so she obviously could not be at the closing. She's also deaf. Okay, so then fast forward, they get to closing. This is the title agent. She's like, well, we're going to do a closing by Zoom so that we can verify that everybody's there. And then boom, there she is. All right, so I've paused it. Here's all the players. And then here's the lady.
Jeez,
now
man.
She's deaf. She's supposedly deaf. Okay.
I know.
What was funny about this is that they said they were showing like a recording, like a clip of this. And they're saying, if you can hear us, raise your hand. And I was like, wait a minute, she's deaf. Like, she's not going to know. So she just awkwardly sits there and, she blinks her eyes and such. She moves around a little bit. But then this is where they figure it out. Her movements become kind of weird. Watch how the face distorts.
What?
Over here. Look at that.
Whoa.
So this is AI, and they figured it out. So, and I'm assuming that they probably, were chatting to her in the chat box too, trying to figure out if she could hear, and then noticing that the lady was not moving to type back. But yeah, this is that was AI generated image that became a skin on someone on Zoom, and then they were moving basically in her skin, trying to sell this property. The reality of the situation is that the lady had passed away. The family had been paying taxes on it for a while, and they were not trying to sell it. And so be aware. I mean, he got 2 forms of government identification. He was texting back and forth with the seller, and then they had a Zoom call on closing day. And this was the thing that made the title agent. Now, this is the technology today. If you would have looked at this technology last year, y'all remember the AI clips we saw last year of Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it was just insane looking? Y'all should see Will Smith eating spaghetti AI today. It looks real. It just looks like somebody Will Smith eating spaghetti. Yeah. So it's only a matter of time before this becomes very responsive and real. And I don't know what title companies, what agents are going to do, because they did what they were supposed to. They got the 2 forms of ID. What else do they need to do? So there's a warning to all of you.
I had something similar without the AI. 2 years ago. And I reached out to Florida Association of Realtors and talked to Florida Legal. And it is a huge scam. It's like someone from Germany wants to sell their house and they need to sell it fast. Like you have to really be diligent. And I will tell you, this year, I had a closing, shockingly, in Miami. And the buyer wired $150,000 and did not call the title company. The funds gone.
Wow.
And the FBI and the fraud tracked it down in Mexico. They got it back. We closed a week later. But again, another fraudulent situation through closing a title company, and this was in Miami.
Yeah.
The title company was.
We got an inquiry the other day from Houston Nutt to sell a property, and one of my agents got it, who's an LSU guy, and he was like, hey, Houston Nutt inquired about selling this property. I was like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. He's like, what do you mean it's not going to happen? I said, I think that's probably fake. He was like, what do you mean it's fake? I was like, yeah, I guarantee that's fake. He's like, why is it fake? I said, do you know who Houston Nutt is? He was like, no. It's like, okay, let's look up Houston Nutt first. And then sure enough, I was like, well, play along with it, because if it is him, I'd love to meet him again and say hey and, catch up. He's like, all right, well, and so sure enough, it was not Houston Nutt, out of area, phone number, all kinds of stuff there. Okay, so let's do rapid fire to finish up. This next article, mortgage refinance demand, mortgage refinance boom takes hold as weekly demand surges 20%. We also saw the applications applications to purchase home rose just 1%. So when mortgage refi demand exploded, applications to purchase only moved 1%. That was still 2% higher than the same week a year ago, but buyers are still facing high home prices, limited supply of houses for sale. It's still a huge affordability issue. Did y'all notice a boom in inquiries at all? We didn't get an increase in inquiries over the last week because the Fed dropped rates, but Skap says he did. Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, my lovely AMC is that like to bid out all those jobs sent me about, 15, 20 orders over the last 2 weeks, or at least
for
5
refinance.
I would say 5 over the last 2 days for refis. So yeah, I'm seeing an uptick in it, but I don't work for those AMCs, but yeah, I'm seeing an uptick with it coming out right now.
Here's part of the issue. Half of all home listings have gone extra stale, unsold after 60 days on the market. Y'all remember when stuff was selling in about 3 hours? So the share of homes sitting 60 plus days on the market rises for the 5th consecutive month. Year-over-year change in the U.S. home listings market over the last 60 days without going under contract is up to, it's plus 4.8 points in August of this year. So the sluggish summer market continued to drag its heels in August. We had a hot summer market for a long time, and then COVID really changed that, and it moved. I feel like it moved the hot summer market to not be a summer market anymore, and we haven't ever gone back. If you look at the numbers, last summer it was slow in a lot of places until the fall, and in some of the major cities, the fall it fell off like crazy. So I'm excited about Q4. Nearly 70% of homes sitting for the last month. Nearly 7 out of 10 homes, 68.5% on the market last month, had been sitting for at least 30 days. That's up from 63.9% a year ago. So not a gigantic increase, but an increase nonetheless.
Ray, do you think the split there of the summer, were you seeing more in the late spring as well, or spring in general, or was it all moving to the fall?
We used to see in March an uptick, and it was just a slight bump in March. And then it would be a pretty good summer. It would be fairly hot. And then I always had a great Q4 because I worked like a dog to make sure I had it. But most of the time, Q4 was sleepy, and a lot of agents took their vacations, did not have a good Q4. And then I felt like in the COVID year, everything was delayed. Whenever everything shut down in March, we no longer had that bump, and it felt like everything moved a couple of months, and we're still in that pattern. And I don't know if it'll ever go back. I don't know if it'll kind of over time readjust. But I still feel like we're in that pattern. I know Michele said they're going into the busy season now. For them, it is traditionally not the busy season for Arkansas, but we will see an increase in solds now
Michele,
compared to what we had.
Do you think that has a lot to do not just with COVID, but just with the way interest rates were lowered? I mean, so many people are strapped. So many people are tied into those low interest rates right now that you would normally see maybe selling or maybe wanting to move, that they just like, well, why move right now? Until those rates come down into the fives or maybe, low fives or maybe high fours or something, why would these people want to move? So I think you have a double whammy there with COVID and those low interest rates that none of these people want to sell their homes. Even if their kids are graduating and going to college, they're like, why move right now?
Just rent it out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very slight change, but this is the kind of stuff that we're seeing in this next article. Buying a home just got more affordable for the first time. How much more affordable? It's just a 1% change. Buyers need to earn $115,000 to afford the typical U.S. home. That's down 1% over the year. That is not a huge move. The typical household earns $84,000, which is 27% less than needed. And then you can see how much this has increased. This is the issue from 2021. You see the huge increase in the income required year over year, and now we're back down to where we were in that 2021 era. Oh wait, this is the percent change, isn't it? Yeah, that's just the percent change. So we're still very, very high. It's only gone down negative 1.4%. So it's still high. It's still super high. I guess I could just look at this chart above it. Yeah. Say again.
You said this is from Redfin?
Yeah, this is on Redfin. It's got a income required chart that shows how that's just grown over time since 2012. So right now the income required is $115,000. It has taken just a slight dip. But then this bottom chart is kind of a little bit deceiving because you're like, oh, okay, here's the income required year over year. Well, it looks like a way more income was required in 2013, but no, we need to stack this chart to show the actual percent increase. And that's nuts. For instance, in 2012, the income required was less than $40,000.
Wow.
And now it's 115.
And I have young adults like 29 and 34. It's very challenging for them right now. And South Florida is out of reach right now. Now with interest rates coming down, that's going to be very helpful. And I've said to them, just think like an investor, think like, okay, what can I live with right now that I can, have some sweat equity in and grow it and then leverage that. Because our median home prices in our area, now they are kind of all over the place because Boca's hyper expensive. And that to me isn't always necessarily what the average sale price is. Like it'll be like some ridiculous number. And I'm like, yeah, but I have a house for sale for 700,000. But it's a problem for young professionals in particular who would be first-time home buyers. So, it's a problem, like you could get a townhouse maybe for like a decent one for 4 or 5. Single family homes, forget it. The median sale price last year for a single family home in Boca was $875. Now it's $905. The average sale price right now is 1.6. That's just a weird number for me. And they group our townhouses, condos together, which they need to separate that out because that makes no sense. But I don't, there are homes less expensive than 1.6 here, it's just a matter of finding them. And our inventory levels are higher than they were last year. So now we're at 4.4 months of inventory versus 3.7, which is good. So, with interest rates going down, that's going to be really helpful. But, it's a challenge for these first-time home buyers or somebody who's a single income buyer,
Michele,
and not.
Because a lot of what we've seen over the last couple of years, at least with the people around here that I talk to a lot, the first-time home buyers were getting gifts, right? Loans even from family members to kind of help bridge the gap.
Sometimes.
And I talked to a lot of financial planners and wealth advisors and stuff, and they're talking about this great transfer of wealth, right? From these parents and grandparents down to their kids. So because you work a lot of probate, do you feel like when those homes are getting probated, are the kids or grandkids, are they holding those homes? Are they strictly selling them? Are they reinvesting in that real estate to
They're
then?
not holding them.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're not holding them. And they're not young. That's the thing. Most of the people are adult children in their 40s and 50s. So they're not first-time home buyers necessarily. They're not young. They're not my kids' age, right? If the grandchildren are getting anything, I might see that, but I might not, So, but typically the average seller that I work with is in their 40s and 50s who's liquidating their parents' estate or a grandparent's estate or something like that. They're not as young. So the wealth is being transferred, but it's not being transferred to millennials the way that,
Yeah, I almost feel like the millennials are going to skip what would be a normal. So like back to that article, $115,000. Well, they may not have that income, but they also may be getting $500,000 or $1 million inheritance, or have a property to sell that's $750,000, and then they just go from I can't afford a home to let's go buy a $600,000 home and cash, $150,000 in cash to have left over or whatever. So I was just curious.
I wonder how many of them are still trying to be mobile and are not buying a house at all.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, right? Yes. Like your kids that are across the country in California, but mom and dad were in Florida, they have zero desire to own that home or manage it long distance, right? So they're going to sell it. And then what do they do with that money? Typically, they would either buy a home or invest it or whatever they're going to do. So I was just curious. I don't work a lot in probate. So most of my clients. Yeah.
So y'all are leading right into the next article too. The 2024 could be the worst year for home sales since 1995, says Fannie Mae. So this year is shaping up to be the slowest year for sales of existing homes in nearly 30 years, with falling mortgage rates not expected to have an impact on sales until next year. Yep, but it's not only bad for people that are looking to buy, it's also bad for renters. This is kind of interesting how renters enter politics. Typical swing state renter earned 17% less than needed to afford the typical apartment. But that's an improvement from the last presidential election.
I blame the politicians. It's all their fault. It's an election year.
I love how Redfin says that's an improvement since the last presidential election, when we know exactly what happened at the end of that last. Was there a big thing? Was there like a gigantic nationwide shutdown for a little bit that maybe skewed some stats? I think so. This is so dumb. All right, here's the last thing we're going to cover today. There's a new tool by Realtor.com. Broke Agent Media put this on their website, so it's not behind a paywall. You guys can find this. Is this the best deal on the street? Realtor.com's new feature can answer that. It's a cool little honeycomb graph that shows you properties and values and estimates and different lot sizes. So you can look at these different categories and see this honeycomb color-coded heat map to show you the differences that are around you. So it's a dynamic map layer that users can quickly find answers to questions like, is this house the best deal on the street or in the neighborhood? Where can I find the newest homes near a school? How quickly are homes selling in this neighborhood? And do homes on this street fit my budget? A big question for this one is, does this mean that Realtor.com put in all of the school district lines? Or does this mean that Realtor.com is relying on real estate agents to input correct data on schools into the MLS? This is a cool thing that I would love to be able to search by, but I don't know about you guys. The data in the MLS is only as good as the worst realtor inputting the data into the MLS. And most of the time, realtors do not put school information into the MLS because they don't want to have anything listed that they're held to later if there's a slight redistricting or if they got that wrong because that was last year's line. And now this August, they just changed that and the real estate agent didn't know. So a lot of this school information, they're going to have to draw the lines on the map and figure out where that property is located on the map to be fully accurate for the consumer. So it may not be, if you're a consumer listening to this, know that it may not be 100% accurate. What was that, Skap?
According to HUD and appraiser guidelines, it doesn't matter about the schools anymore because that could be considered being biased and can be considered being unreasonable. So you shouldn't have to go by that anymore. I'm just letting you know.
No. That's fine. It's just where people want to live. That's all we're talking about. We always talk in areas of improving value. That's what we look at. User benefits. So, I mean, it looks pretty cool to me. I mean, I don't know that I would use it over the data that I have access to, but on the consumer side, it'll be interesting to see the discussions that we get into with clients that are like, well, this says this is the only 4.2 acre lot in the area, and you're saying you have 3 others? I don't understand. It's not on the data. I'm like, yeah. They do home estimates per foot, lot size, slope, market hotness, sold price versus list price, days on market, and neighborhood. Now, the sold price versus list price, is that the original list price, or is that after the agent dropped it right before they closed in order to show a list to sell price ratio of 100%?
Or where it started a year ago at $100,000 overpriced.
Yeah, I've been on the market 568 days, but the last time it was listed, it only sold 1% below list.
Yeah.
Does the days on market take that into account as well, or is it from when it's relisted again and how many days on the market were total?
I know, right? This is the question.
No, it just takes the average. It just takes the average. That's what it says. Displays how long properties in a particular neighborhood typically take to sell based on recent sales data. So if your average is a 500 and then 5, you're going to get 280, 275, something like that. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, Ray. I don't like the idea of anyone aggregating data because I feel like, to your point, the weakest link is us, or not us, but our colleagues. And I have more access and better access. And so does Skap, honestly. Like, Skap can go call all these people. Skap, I will say, in order to try to make us work better together, you're going to have to get a lot of agents to pick up their phone. That's going to be a real challenge for you in the future here.
I'm learning from you, Matt. So as long as I can learn from you, I will make sure that they will pick up. You're teaching me well.
Well, that's it for the show. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. We went a little bit long, but I thought we had a pretty good discussion until Matt joined. So
really quick, Ray, I just want to add this in there because we talked about it and we didn't cover it, but I want to talk about it. I got to talk about this CEO thing really quick. I mean, it's really creepy. I'm going to get it for the next show. So yeah. I noticed in a lot of listings when I'm looking up comparables for a property I'm doing, I notice in the listing that where there's supposed to be an apostrophe in a sentence, they add a big capital CO in there. Okay. And I've seen this on numerous listings. And then I was actually just kind of researching and stumbled upon a guy that did an actual video, and I'll send it to you, Ray, about this thing where that's what agents are putting into their listings now that they can get in trouble for, is they're putting this CO in there, meaning it's, and I don't know the correct terms, but I guess it's cooperative or
compensation offered.
Yeah. Okay. Where you're, for your commissions that you're going to split the commissions or whatever. So they're putting that strategically where there's supposed to be apostrophes. And I've seen this about 3 or 4 times in Atlanta. Probably not the best idea to do, but I'll get a copy of one.
I've never seen this.
I'll send it to you, Ray, for the next show. But I did see somebody talk about this, and I thought it was pretty odd that I saw it first and then saw this video, because I saw it and was like, that's really weird. What's going on here? And then when I read up on it, I was like, here comes one of those workarounds that they're trying to put in there. So I just would be careful with that.
Yeah, I've never seen this. I haven't seen anyone try to kind of be shady with it. I've seen some agents that obviously just have no idea, put that they are offering buyer agent compensation, and they're like, where did the blank go? I don't see the blank anymore. We're offering compensation. I'm like, no, don't do that. So I've seen some agents that have not been educated about it, but I haven't seen anyone trying to slip it in. I know before the suit kind of went through, a lot of people were, putting the word 3 in there. It's 3 bedrooms and a point, it's like, no, don't do that. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. It's going to be hard to prove code, but it's also going to be hard to communicate code, because you're essentially only going to be able to communicate it to the other people that know the code.
Well, just a word to the wise: the people, those attorneys that were charging 30% fees, by the way, have employed people to go on MLSs and to go on Zillow and to go on Realtor and Redfin and all these other places where these these listings are being, affiliated, and they are finding you've got to do better. They will find you.
Yeah, they will find you. Isn't that Liam Neeson?
A very particular set of skills.
I have a very special set of skills.
Liam Neeson.
What's up, Monique? Monique at Montreal says hi. She's joining us on Instagram there. All right, well, thank you guys for joining us this week. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Matt, Skap, and Michele, the listener panel for this month. I'm going to try to get back to like monthly, having more and more of us on here, but I appreciate the discussion. And thanks for all the commenters. Thanks, Clubhouse, for jumping in there. And we will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody. Oh, and I'll put all your info in the description later.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.